Hi everyone, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. I'm Sean Duhamel. Today is April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day, everybody. Now, I'm not much for telling jokes or April Fool's gags, so I'm just going to jump right into the news of the week, and I don't really think you want me going down that road. In any event, before I get into this week's report, which is going to focus on the state's Group Insurance Commission, just let me very quickly say that we have a bunch of stuff going on this month for mass retirees. It's going to be a really busy month. Just this past week, we went to press with our May newsletter, The Voice. It's at the printer as I speak. You should receive it in another week to 10 days. It should start to arrive in members' mailboxes. And as we get a little bit closer to it actually being mailed out, we're going to do another sneak preview video with Bill Reary and Nancy McGovern and walk through some of the details that are in the newsletter. Now again, it's chock full of the most up-to-date and important news about your pension, your health insurance, and really everything that is most important to public retirees. We also have a pretty exciting announcement in the newsletter, and I'm not going to spoil it by giving it away just yet, but it's something we've been working on for quite a while that's finally coming to fruition. And I'm really excited to share this news with you, and we're going to do so again really soon. Now, the big thing we're going to be focused on in April is that activity here in Boston on Beacon Hill in the State House is really heating up. Now, the formal legislative session only runs through the end of July this year. End of July, formal business in the State House is over. So all of these key issues that we're working on right now that are pending before the legislature, it's kind of do or die at this point, and there's quite a few bills in the pipeline. We are most focused right now, however, on the state budget. The House of Representatives is scheduled to take up their version of the state budget at the end of April. We are very focused right now on the cost of living adjustment, making improvements to the COLA. As we have been saying now for the better part of a year, we believe that the great success of the public pension systems over the past decade should be shared with the beneficiaries, the retirees who are members of the retirement systems. It's your money. You deserve to share in that success. We have been working on this for many months, and the first bite at the apple will come through the House budget process. Now, we don't have any details. We are seeking a COLA base increase for state and teacher retirees. We're also seeking, most importantly, an increase in the COLA for the year to pay the full CPI rather than capping it at 3%. The full CPI for 2022 is 5.9%. All of us know that inflation is raging right now. Every time you turn around, things are more and more expensive. Retirees desperately need some assistance. We believe the quickest, most effective way to bring that assistance to you is through the COLA. So we're working with the legislature. We're also working with the legislature on some enabling language to allow local retirement systems to also pay the full 5.9% CPI for 2022 rather than being locked in at the 3%. So those things are a work in progress. We're not going to know for a few more weeks of what the prognosis looks like for the House budget. We'll know more as the month of April moves on. The other thing that we're going to be watching, not only in the immediate future, but really over the next 10 months or so, is the procurement process that begins today in earnest by the state GIC. And we have been reporting on this now for a year and a half, that every 5 years under state law, the Group Insurance Commission is required to go out to bid for all of the health insurance plans, the pharmaceutical plans, the dental, the vision, the life insurance, all of the benefit packages that they offer to active employees and retirees have to be bid every 5 years. That's the law. So this coming fiscal year that begins on July 1st is the 5th year of the current contract cycle. So the GIC for the past year and a half has been putting a lot of work into planning what the next procurement is going to look like. What are they looking to do? What type of plan design and benefit changes are they interested in making? Now the good news is, and I want to thank the Group Insurance Commission, and in particular, my friend Matt Vino, who's the executive director of the GIC. Matt and his team, his staff at the GIC, have really gone out of their way to work with mass retirees, to work directly with you, to hear from you throughout this process, to get your input and find out what's most important to the members, the enrollees of the insurance plans. And they've worked with us, they've worked with the labor unions to collect as much information and thoughts and feelings as possible before any decisions are made. And that's really the key thing. And that's been a big difference than what we have seen in the past. Oftentimes there's a little bit of talk, but more or less these decisions are made behind closed doors without a lot of direct input from the people who are most impacted. And we saw that, and we saw the adverse result of that 5 years ago when the GIC attempted to consolidate insurance plans and eliminate some of the most popular plans with members, and it caused a big revolt, and our association and the unions pushed back. Thankfully, Attorney General Maura Healey got involved, and Governor Baker and the legislative leadership, and they forced the GIC Commission to change course and unravel what they were about to do. Now, wisely, the GIC is not going to go down that road again, and they've made it clear that there is no policy position or intention of consolidating or eliminating plans. Now, that does not mean, however, that changes may or may not take place. We just simply don't know. What we are anticipating happening, however, is we'll most likely see plans added, particularly on the national level. Now, one of the key feedback that Matt and his team at the GIC received from our members, particularly for those of you living outside of Massachusetts, is that you're hoping to have more affordable options available to you rather than just the traditional GIC indemnity plan, which is a fantastic plan. It's really second to none, but it's expensive. And for some people, that's an issue, and you should have the ability to pick and choose and shop and have options available for which type of plan is going to work best for you and your family. And if you were part of our teletown hall meeting last week with Unicare's General Manager David Morales, that's one of the key things that David kept repeating. You need to take the time to look at all the details and decide which insurance plan is best for you and your family. And there is no one size fits all. So that's been one of our key points with the GIC, is that we want to make sure that options and choice is maintained. It's very important. Another key aspect that the GIC has made very, very clear is that they have no interest in bringing in what are known as high deductible health plans. Now, what I mean by a high deductible plan is pretty straightforward, and is not to be confused with having a deductible at all. As you might know, the non-Medicare GIC plans all have a $500 per person deductible, I believe up to a maximum of $1,000 a year per family. Now, that by itself is expensive, particularly for public employees, and most importantly for public retirees living on fixed incomes. A $500 or $1,000 per year deductible is a lot of money. But believe it or not, those aren't high deductible plans. What is viewed as a high deductible plan are plans that carry a deductible of $2,000 or more. Oftentimes it's significantly more than $2,000. We have a lot of private sector plans now that have a $5,000 deductible, or believe it or not, even higher than that. But here's the thing. Those plans are geared towards active employees who work in high income professions. So people who work on Wall Street or in the software and high tech and biotech industry here in Boston, who are making high six figures or even seven figure incomes, they can well afford a high deductible plan. If you're making $500,000 a year, working for Biogen or one of the big pharmaceutical companies or something, then you could probably afford a $5,000 deductible and be very comfortable with that. But those types of plans, needless to say, are not for us. Certainly not for me. I could not afford to pay anywhere near that, and I believe that neither can you. And very wisely, the GIC has agreed. In fact, there are studies that show, recent studies that show that high deductible plans, when they're misapplied and made available to lower income workers, oftentimes it has the exact opposite result of what's trying to be achieved. And what I mean by that is that because people are being forced to pay a large amount of money out of their own pocket, and oftentimes they can't afford to do that, they'll avoid going to the doctor even when they should. And what that does is, at the end of the day, if someone gets sick and they're not getting the proper care, they're going to get sicker, they're going to end up in the hospital, bad things are going to happen, and it's going to cost a lot more money for everybody in the long run. Again, the GIC has wisely identified that as an issue, and they've made it clear that they have no interest in going down that road. Now, what we're hoping for, again, is a wider variety of plans. We're most likely going to see an option for a national Medicare Advantage plan that would have an open network. And we are fine with this. We welcome this as long as retiree choice is maintained. So in terms of Medicare plans, what we would like to see is perhaps a national Medicare Advantage plan, along with the more traditional Medicare supplement plans that all of you or most of you were enrolled in at this time. We also want to make sure that we have options available to those of you who are non-Medicare eligible retirees. And this is not something that's necessarily specific to the procurement or the RFR, but it's something that we continue to work with the GIC on. We continue to have conversations to find a pathway forward to transition the 10,000 or so non-Medicare eligible retirees into the Medicare buy-in program, thus reducing your out-of-pocket costs and your overall health care costs. That's the goal, and that's something that we are very, very focused on, and we'll be reporting back to all of you in the coming weeks and months as progress is made on that. So, as I said, the RFRs are scheduled to go out today for the health insurance plans. The insurance companies then have 45 days in which to respond. The GIC will spend the summer months reviewing all of those proposals and those bids, evaluating, scoring, and then the decision-making process most likely will start to take place or really shape up sometime around Labor Day. But it's not going to be until about October or so where public information is really available and we start to have some idea of the direction the GIC is going in, and perhaps some of the insurance companies that may or may not be available to all of you come July of 2023. The second piece of this, of course, is that in June, the pharmaceutical RFR will be released, and the GIC will then be deciding whether or not they want to keep the current model of having two different pharmacy benefits managers, one for Medicare, one for non-Medicare, whether or not they want to, perhaps have some of the pharmacy benefits be managed by the health insurance companies, like was the traditional model, and going back to that, having one provider for Medicare and non-Medicare. These are all options that are going to be considered that will be flushed out once we get into the fall. And the one thing that we can assure you all of that the GIC and Matt have made very clear is that they're not interested in changing things just for the sake of change. That's not fair to you. It causes a great deal of disruption, and it's not fair to the GIC and the staff and everyone else that has to manage that and try to make it all work. The old adage goes, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And that's very much the case when it comes to your health insurance and the benefits that you rely upon. So we're going to continue here to keep a very close eye on all of this. I want to thank those of you who have participated in our town hall meetings, have sent in your comments, have reached out directly to the GIC. I know that this has made a big difference going into this process, that you've had a voice and some input. And we're very hopeful that come a year from now, when all of these decisions have been made and the benefits are in place, that all of us will have something that we can be satisfied is the best possible health insurance plan available to all of you at an affordable price. That's the goal. So again, thank you so much. We'll be back to you again next week. And in the meantime, enjoy April. Bye-bye.